In an open letter of support, national feminist organizations break their silence regarding Amber Heard. An open letter to support Amber Heard, who lost a defamation lawsuit this year brought by her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, for an op-ed in which she claims she was a public figure representing domestic abuse, has been signed by more than 130 individuals, including Gloria Steinem, and organizations in the fields of women's rights advocacy, domestic violence, and sexual assault awareness. NBC News was the only outlet to receive a copy of the letter before it was made available to the general public on Wednesday. The Women's March Foundation, Equality Now, and the National Women's Law Center, a group of people who identify as Heard supporters and domestic violence survivors, wrote it. Heard started the process of appealing a jury's $10 million compensatory damage and $5 million punitive damage awards against Depp in June in Virginia's Fairfax County Circuit Court by filing a brief last month. Heard, who had filed a countersuit, was given a compensatory damages verdict of $2 million, but no punitive damages. Despite the fact that Depp was never specifically referenced in the Washington Post column, Depp's lawyers claimed it made indirect reference to accusations Heard made against him during their 2016 divorce. She testified graphically about a supposed sexual assault during the trial, as well as reports of alleged physical assaults. All allegations of abuse were refuted by Depp. The letter is one of the most significant public displays of support for Heard after months of silence from many groups following the verdict. It criticizes the rising misuse of defamation lawsuits to silence people who report domestic and sexual abuse. Both Depp and Heard's representatives declined to comment. The jury's verdict served as a legal victory for Depp, who had previously lost a libel case in the UK over allegations that he had physically abused Heard. Justice Andrew Nicol rejected Depp's appeal in 2020, finding that a British tabloid had provided compelling evidence that Depp had assaulted Heard on at least 12 of the 14 occasions in question. Following the June decision, activists criticized other organizations, such as Time's Up, questioning why a group that had supported victims at the height of the #MeToo movement was now silent. Online trolls supporting Depp attacked others who did speak out in favor of Heard, including the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. After the trial, people were afraid to speak out because they saw what was happening to the few who had, according to a spokesperson for the group behind the letter who asked to remain anonymous due to the online abuse she has received for posting in support of Heard. According to the letter, Heard and her supporters have been the targets of ongoing online harassment that was driven by misinformation, misogyny, biphobia, and a monetized social media environment where a woman's charges of domestic violence and sexual assault were mocked for entertainment. The letter claims that the hatred and intimidation directed towards Heard and her supporters were unprecedented in both ferocity and magnitude. The Feminist Majority Foundation, according to Kathy Spiller, executive director, signed the letter after noticing what she called a growing backlash against women who speak out against sexual assault, domestic violence, and intimate partner violence offenders. Amber Heard's experience will deter other women from speaking out and even reporting instances of sexual assault and domestic violence, according to Spiller. The verdict, according to the letter, indicates a fundamental misunderstanding of intimate relationship and sexual abuse and how survivors respond to it, as does the online reaction to Heard. More than 90 domestic abuse professionals and survivors advocates from all around the world joined 24 feminist organizations in signing the letter to condemn the public humiliation of Amber Heard and join in support of her. Doctors, attorneys, teachers, writers, and activists are among them. Others who signed the letter expressed their worries that social media commentary on the trial was detrimental to regular domestic abuse victims. They observe the atmosphere that has been produced and feel even less secure than before to come out and disclose the abuse they experienced, according to Elizabeth Tang, the National Women's Law Center's senior counsel for workplace justice and education. Defamation lawsuits, according to Tang, can be used by abusers to silence their victims or to punish their victims for coming out. According to Tang, one of the reasons we felt it was very important to join this letter is because victims have to go through a very long, drawn-out, and invasive process just to prove that the things they said are true or that they did not defame the person they reported, which causes a lot of trauma. The National Organization for Women's national president, Christian F. Nunes, expressed hope that the letter will serve as a reminder that the legal system should never be used to coerce victims into making false statements regarding their abuse, since this is what is happening. Nunes said that we cannot quiet victims by re-traumatizing them through the legal system and lawsuits. She expressed her hope that the letter will increase knowledge of contemporary strategies that abusers employ to harm their victims, such as social media campaigns. The spokesperson for the organization that wrote the letter claimed that since the trial, Heard has received more online support from the general public. When she joined the Open Letter movement, she and other anonymous Heard supporters had already been trying to battle disinformation for months. The experts claimed they all shared a message that they wanted to convey to any survivors who might read the letter. It is also a means of saying to all survivors, "You are not alone," Tang added.